Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and Brian Flores may save his career in Miami yet, because after an atrocious start, one that didn't just feature a 7-game losing streak, unnecessary quarterback controversy, underachieving play, unmet expectations, all of that. But the Dolphins have now rattled off 4 straight wins and now sit at 5-7, and the outlook continues to just get brighter. So today, we're going to talk about Miami's impressive 33-10 beatdown of the Carolina Panthers, who shined, what consistent traits are we actually starting to see in this team, and who deserves the credit for the surprising turnaround. This is going to be a fun one. Let's dive in. Thinking back to last week when Miami sat at 4-7, still feeling out of things, it was tough to look ahead and give us another 3 or 4 straight wins. Yeah, the team had been playing better. Miami's performances against Buffalo, Houston, the Ravens, and the Jets were encouraging, but we had a good 8-game sample size beforehand, which highlighted some really bad football. We had our poorest defense, inability to stop the run, not being consistent in coverage, and then our offensive line couldn't open any holes in the run game and didn't allow any passer, Brissett or Tua, to get to their first read. And then there was really suspect play calling across the offensive coaching staff, and there was no flow, no rhythm, and no identity. So because we saw that for 2 months straight, it made sense that many doubted that this recent turnaround was even possible. Sure, a cute little win streak starting with the Texans, ending with the Jets is nice, but it's nothing serious when you consider this was a 1-7 football team. But as Miami was starting to win, and we were actually looking ahead to, hey, what if they do go on a run here? One of the main worries, at least my main worry, was the Carolina Panthers. They are a team with plenty of talent. They got solid coaches who have shown an ability to win games, and they're a team just as desperate as the Dolphins. So, of the next few games, the Giants, Jets, Saints, and Titans, I was honestly most worried about this matchup. I felt like this would be the game where that dagger would go through my heart and I would have to truly declare the season over. Because as an analyst, it is what it is, right? There's still plenty left to dissect if Miami started losing all these games about the team, the future, what needs to happen going forward. But as a fan, having your season die before December even starts makes for a much gloomier holiday season. So now, to give ourselves a little credit, when talking about Carolina last week, we mentioned how Miami could win this game if they put it on Cam Newton's shoulders. Because, at least what I said last week, he's a washed-up has-been. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Cam Newton not only played some of the worst football I've seen from a quarterback in quite a while, but our Miami Dolphins laid the smackdown on the Panthers from start to finish in all 3 phases of the game. Starting with the offense, Miami's starting to cultivate a little bit of an identity here. There's quick passing, a conservative running attack, sure, which focuses on misdirection and its ultimate purpose to be decent enough that we can actually utilize the play-action fake. The route combinations, they might not be as deep as some of us may like, but they keep this offense's limitations in mind. Why would you send 2 guys 20 yards downfield when your line won't give Tua enough time to get the pass out there? Instead, Miami's clearly focusing more on spacing and leverage to put the defense in conflict. And then it's Tua's job to make the right read based on that conflict defender. And as we just saw, he's doing exactly that. As the game progressed, we're seeing more and more out of Tua. On Sunday, we saw more leadership qualities. The offense felt really smooth under his command. The guys were listening to him, and he showed emotion on the field as well. After a dumb penalty on Austin Jackson, he would flip out and spike the ball. When the offense was trotting lazily back to the huddle, he let them know how he felt about it. And it may be the little things, but it's these things, when you combine them with good play, that make up a good franchise quarterback. someone who takes ownership of not just the offensive playbook, but the game planning and the team itself, being the guy. And it seems, with each win that passes, that Tua is resembling that guy more and more. The run game, although not explosive, was present yet again, and similar to last week, Miami was playing solid enough offense where they could try to stick with the run throughout the game. They weren't ever down, so because they were never down big, they didn't have to abandon it completely, and they were able to keep trying to force it and make something happen. And although nothing big popped, they were able to carry out some yardage on early downs, helping move the sticks and maintain drives, getting those 4 or 5 yard chunks. Myles Gaskin had a solid game once again, leading Miami in rushing with 49 yards on 16 carries, a 3.1 yard per carry average, and 2 touchdowns. He is a touchdown machine in the red zone. We didn't see Duke Johnson at all this week, despite him making his debut last week against the Jets and looking pretty good. But instead, it appears Miami may stash Duke on the roster or potentially let him go because they got another guy to tote the rock. Former Pro Bowler Phillip Lindsay. Now, we knew when we signed him that he's not the Phillip Lindsay of old. And for some reason, ever since Denver let him go, he's steadily declined in overall performance. And although those numbers aren't anything special, the eye test told a different story. He ran 12 times, finishing with 42 yards and a 3.5 yards per carry average. What I liked so much out of Lindsay was the way he ran the ball. Unlike Myles Gaskin and Savon Ahmed, who are guys who are, I guess you would say, more traditional scat backs, Lindsay, he's a glider. The way he likes to run is very different. He's best utilized on outside zone runs, pitches, and off-tackle action. Compared to Gaskin, Lindsay's not as good as a start-stop style running back, someone in between the tackles who's going to try to make these linebackers miss. He's someone you want to hit the hole full speed. And again, the start-stop style is really useful in between the tackles as well as in the passing game as well. But as a more traditional back, Lindsay is looking to just find that hole or just a crease to explode through as he goes north and south. Early on this season, when the line was opening up no holes, I guarantee Phillip Lindsay would have looked bad. That's why a guy like Myles Gaskin, honestly, behind this offensive line was fine. There was no point investing a high-round draft pick, bringing Najee Harris in when you could have Jalen Phillips instead, considering that the line wasn't going to open up any holes. But now, for some reason, it seems Miami's getting a little bit better at executing certain run schemes. We're seeing those 6 or 7 yard carries happen a little more often, and that means if we're getting 6 and 7 yard carries, that some holes are opening up. For that reason, as he gets more comfortable, Phillip Lindsay, and the coaches install more runs suited to his style, I think he can become a true factor in our offense. And that's exciting because he's still just 27. Phillip Lindsay's still in his prime, so we could use all the running back help we can get. When it comes to Miami's passing attack, yes, one storyline was Tua's accuracy and his overall efficiency, but the other perhaps more exciting storyline was the breakout game for Jalen Waddle. Holy cow, can he do it all? My concern with Waddle when we initially drafted him, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you probably remember, was whether or not he would be a complete receiver. You gave up a first-round pick to move up and get him. He better not be a one-trick pony. I knew he could run. I knew he could catch that quick screen or that slant and just take it to the house. I knew that he could also be a factor on special teams, but I didn't know whether he could run timing routes in the NFL with precision, if he could find soft spots in zone coverages, be excellent with his feet while running routes, all the little things that make a great NFL wide receiver, not skills that you necessarily need to have in college football at Alabama because you're just a better athlete. In the NFL, it's these little things that matter, and I wasn't sure Waddle had that. But boy, am I happy to say, I think I'm wrong. The kid's a baller. He's a stud. But we'll touch more on him in our Studs and Duds segment coming up. Moving to the defense. Yeah, they were aided by some generally putrid play from Cam Newton. But I fully believe it was Miami's scheme and play itself that led to a lot of the boneheaded plays that we were seeing. Cam, like I said, was garbage. He finished 5 of 21. Yeah, you heard that right. 5 of 21, 92 yards, and 2 interceptions. The Dolphins were also able to contain Christian McCaffrey, not easy. And he did leave with an injury, but even prior to the injury, he wasn't really popping off many big runs or chunk yardage. The run defense for Miami, ever since the return of Raekwon Davis, has really stepped up their game. The Panthers just had 64 yards rushing the entire game, and that's what their offense is built around. What was so great to see was Miami continue to run the blitz-heavy look. The amoeba front was alive and well. And although we got burned early, and we were also missing Brandon Jones, that one burn time we got was that big play, 64 yards from Cam to DJ Moore in the first quarter, and that was due more to a busted coverage and just poor communication rather than the scheme itself. And that was proven out not just by the fact that Miami stuck with those aggressive fronts and play calls even after getting burned and letting a touchdown get scored, but by the end result as well. Because similar to our performance against the Ravens, this defense looked like they did last season, except they got more talent and explosion. They looked like what we wanted to see all season long. The line was dominating, controlling the line of scrimmage and harassing both Cam and PJ Walker. Did not matter which mobile guy you put back there, we were all over him. From Emmanuel Ogbah, Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, Sealer, Raekwon, even Adam Butler, the whole front was dominant and was getting in the backfield. Kinky Ginky made a few appearances, and he managed a few tips and quarterback pressures as well, so everyone was getting in on it. The secondary was great as well, and aside from that one bad play, Xavier Howard was excellent. He nabbed an interception and shut down DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, guys who aren't some schmucks. These are some legit wide receivers in the NFL. Byron Jones was great as well. We really didn't see his name called much at all, which, as a corner, means you're doing your job right. Again, both him, Byron Jones, and X were together on that busted play, so I'm not sure whose fault that was. Someone clearly messed up, so that's either on Byron or X. Someone didn't pick him up like they were supposed to. Nick Needham, he also pulled in an interception, and it's good to see him staying relevant and in the mix. The kid is providing some great depth at the nickel spot, and he settled in nicely along with Justin Coleman, who's also improving. And let's never forget Javon Holland, because not only was he popping as per usual, making big hits left and right, and just being around the ball, but he also nabbed an interception, rounding up the trifecta of picks for the defense. The linebackers were also sound. Jerome Baker, Alandon Roberts, both played well, but I want to give some love to Duke Riley. He played one hell of a game. Not only did he block the punt on special teams, a huge play in its own right, but he was running sideline to sideline, helping the defense out in coverage and against the run. It is great to see another linebacker step up. And considering that depth with Sam McGuavin, our depth at the position is not looking as shabby as it did early on. Because the linebackers were suspect when they were getting washed down every play. Baker, Roberts, Riley. Now they're shedding their blocks and plugging the gaps that they're responsible for. Obviously, that is made much easier when the defensive line in front of you is owning the point of attack and pushing the offensive line back. But overall, the defense was excellent, complementing the offense well, setting the team up, and helping maintain Miami's control of the field position battle all day long. Miami pinned Carolina back consistently, and that was mainly because the defense wasn't giving up much ground. Right now, Flores' unit is cooking. And let's keep it going. The road to 7-7 continues. Our next segment is always way more fun to do when we win. Well, to be honest, I don't know who I'm kidding. Everything is more fun when the Dolphins win, especially in the fashion that they did. But let's get to our studs and duds. Our first stud of the game, Jalen Phillips. The 18th overall pick gets the honor of being the guy first listed because he racked up 3 sacks, a hat trick, as a rookie against an allegedly mobile quarterback. And listen, I'm pretty sure Jason Taylor never had a hat trick as a rookie. He also had 3 tackles, but it is really good to see things beginning to click for Phillips. He's been getting better each week. We've been talking about it. He's closing in on sacks. He was around plays, but never quite being the one to make them. Now, we're seeing his mind and understanding of the defense of the NFL catch up with his physical tools and explosiveness. He's showcasing different types of moves too. So along with that spin, which he came out of college with, he's developing a bull rush, swim moves, and rip moves, which allow him to get into the backfield and disrupt the quarterback. I only foresee him getting better. Was a huge fan of the pick back in April, and I felt that when it was all said and done, Jalen Phillips would prove to not only be the best defensive lineman of this year's class, but arguably the best defensive player of the class. But who knew that his biggest competition over the next few years for that role was going to be his teammate Javon Holland? But hey, we'll see, because there's guys like Micah Parsons and Patrick Surtain who are also having great rookie seasons. But Phillips has premier tools, skills that you just cannot teach, and natural athleticism, which again is rare. Also, he plays a premier position, the edge, defensive end, the guy who gets the quarterback. Loving his growth week to week, and I'm excited to see where he's going to take it. As of now, Phillips has 6.5 combined sacks. As a rookie, 6.5 sacks is a damn good season. And he has time to add to that total, so you love to see it. Our first dud of the game, and similar to the studs and duds against the Ravens, these guys were hard to find. Everyone played pretty well, and I love it when I'm scrounging for duds, and I feel like, damn, I can't pick only 3 studs, but alas, that's how we do it here. But my first dud, Albert Wilson. As happy as I am to see him out there, catching passes and making some plays, I can't help but note that he has clearly lost a step, because Albert Wilson's valuable because he's dangerous after the catch, or at least he used to be. Now, Wilson struggles with acceleration, and he often gets stood up rather than running through tackles. It feels like the second he tries to make a move, he just stops. He just pauses there. He gets way too cute with the ball in his hands, and he just loses yardage to try to make a play. He had that one catch where if he simply fell forward, Tua hit him in stride. If he just fell forward, he was going to get a first down. Instead, on that third down, he decides, you know what, I'm trying to make a move by running backwards and around this guy coming at me, and instead, he got tackled, and Miami faced a 4th and 1. Now, if it wasn't for the Durham Smythe sneak on 4th and 1, he wouldn't have been bailed out, so honestly, it ended up getting nullified, but still, you don't want to see him make dumb decisions like that. And we've seen him make decisions like that more than a few times this season, and that lack of explosion he's showing in the receiving game, it's becoming a pattern and something that's a little concerning. I know he had a good game against the Ravens, but overall, I'm left wanting more from Albert Wilson. I know he has the ability, and he has time off, so he should have been physically helped by that, not hurt. But we'll see if he can turn things around. Our next stud is the other first-round pick, the other Jalen brother, Mr. Waddle. I spoke glowingly about him earlier, so I won't rehash anything, but the Tua to Waddle connection is strong. It is apparent that as Tua seems to look his way on third downs and other big plays, he is leaning on Jalen Waddle. And whenever he goes through his progressions and he's looking to make a play, things are breaking down, he's going to Jalen Waddle. That's the guy he's turning to. And so far this season, Waddle's delivered. None as big as this one, though. Like I said at the top of the show, this was his breakout game. He finished with 9 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown. The best part, his average yards per reception was 15.2 yards. So not only was Tua finding him underneath, but he pushed it downfield to him on multiple occasions. Our second dud of the game goes to a series regular, Jesse Davis. Welcome back. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but he whiffed on multiple blocks, almost got Tua killed again, and he cost Miami possession of the football with that sack that he allowed to happen for the fumble. So he continues to be the worst performer on the line week in and week out. Not that I'm expecting anything, but maybe, just maybe, something will click in the coming weeks and he steps up his game, because for 3 months now, it has been less than stellar, to say the least. Our final stud of the game, Tua Tagovailoa. This Panthers pass defense was a true test. I don't want to hear it. Dink and dunk, I don't care. This was an elite pass defense in the NFL, and Tua kicked their ass. Combined with that wicked pass rush, Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns, we knew heading into the game that Tua succeeding was vital to our chances of winning this game, and that was going to be hard. And mostly, people didn't expect it. Vegas didn't expect it. But based on how Tua played against one of the best units in the league as well, would also go a long way in helping us evaluate our quarterback. Personally, I think he played very well. Within the game plan, yes, but all good quarterbacks do that. He was playing within the game, but he was also the one running the offense. No, he wasn't taking shots down the field. That'd be dumb against this type of defense. Instead, lead methodical drives, which he did, accurately delivering the football, which he did, and help keep the chains moving. He didn't make the big glaring mistake like he's done in the past, and instead was exactly what we needed to finish out this rout of the Panthers. He finished the game completing 27 to 31. That's an 87% completion rate. Precise as fuck. And he managed 230 yards and 1 touchdown. Hopefully in the future we get more 2, 3, 4 touchdown games, but I'll take only one in a win any day. Now, it's important to remember Miami had control of this game early in the third quarter, so for nearly a full half, Tua wasn't even asked to throw the ball. Instead, we leaned on the run and tried to burn the clock as well as maintain possession. His stat line could have looked much better if our defense allowed Carolina to stay in it, which they didn't. That didn't happen, and Tua led the way for Miami's 4th consecutive victory. Great game by him. The final dud of the game, I'm telling you, I'm reaching, but center Austin Ryder. Not only do I think his hair is a little serial killer-ish, but his low snaps could get this team killed. He had multiple bad reps, one which cost Miami a potential field goal to end the half and instead resulted in 3 points for the Panthers, a 6-point swing. Now, Tua should have corralled that snap, but you don't want that to be a conversation. That was low, but he should have gotten it. Or, yeah, it was high. You don't want to be having that conversation about your center. You don't want to be talking about quality of snaps. That's not a good problem to have. So Michael Dieter is set to return soon, and I think Miami won't have any issue just sliding him back in if they deem it necessary. But even he wasn't that atrocious. For the most part, he kept the pocket clean and prevented defensive tackles from being into his lap all day. So aside from the couple bad snaps, even Reader wasn't that bad. Jesse Davis, yeah, he was bad. And I am also mad at Albert Wilson, but again, he played well. I'm telling you, overall, this was a great game for the Dolphins. Even the mediocre play looked better when the guys around them were executing the way they were. 33-10. What a win. So, big picture. The Phins are now 5-7, just sitting on the outside looking in. We still got a horde of teams in front of us. Teams like the Raiders, Colts, Steelers, Browns, and Broncos. The good news, all these teams have just 5 or 6 wins. That's either the same as us or one more. If Miami takes care of business this weekend against the Giants, and we'll get into that, don't you worry, and then we also handle the Jets, not only will we be 7-7, once again a respectable franchise, but over those 3 weeks, because remember, our bye is in there as well, but those 3 weeks can change a lot of things. If we take care of business, then those teams I mentioned, plenty of them are playing each other. Some play tough competition otherwise, so Miami could sneak into 1 or 2 spots out of the 7 seed in just a matter of weeks. The reality really is that close. We really are just a couple weeks away and taking care of business after they handled arguably the toughest opponent. If they're able to now take care of business, we can legitimately be talking playoffs in 2 weeks. Like I said, don't worry. We'll be getting into all these scenarios as well as Miami's road ahead in the coming episodes. So subscribe. Don't miss a thing. For now, enjoy the start to your week, start feeling the holiday spirit, and enjoy a 4th straight victory week. This one, a complete undressing and dismantling of the Carolina Panthers. Man, being a Dolphins fan is really a roller coaster, isn't it? Crazy, wild, unpredictable, but frankly, I wouldn't change it for a thing. Fins up.
Well, you mentioned Miami. They're like, shh, don't tell anybody. Keep talking about everybody else but us. They started 1-0, one actually up at New England. Lost 7 in a row. No team has ever come back from 1-7, but they've won 4 straight. And the next 2 weeks, Giants and Jets. They take care of business. They could be looking at 7-7. What happened? Miami, very much alive, still uphill, but very much alive in the AFC playoff picture.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to Timothy Ritchie, Brian Guger, Brandon Leist, and Chris, members of the pod and supporters of the show over on Patreon. Check that out. Links in the description, or head to patreon.com/PhinsPod. Thank you all so much for the support, and please remember to like the video if you enjoyed the show, and subscribe just so you never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. Remember, PhinsPod's available on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and of course on YouTube. If you are on Apple Podcasts, really appreciate a review. Helps the show out a ton, and obviously love to read them. Love to see what you guys think about the show. Also, continue the conversation with us over on Twitter and Instagram at PhinsPod. I hope you all have an amazing day, and until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.